So once again, we were gifted a screener to a found footage film directly from the director themselves. This continues to keep happening to us because we are in that found footage group, and now we've become like known as the found footage channel, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
me too.
So Sean Robinson hit me up, and he was like, "Hey, you want to check out Life of Belle? I made this, and I want you to see it." And I was like, "Okay, listen, if I hate it, I ain't reviewing it." No, I told him, like, do you want me to review it if I hate it and all that? The typical thing that I do. But this was a movie that he made with his family and then some like neighbors and whatnot, but primarily his family. So the main characters are his wife and his two children. And first, right out the gate, I think it's super ballsy that he put like his very young children
Yeah.
front and center in his movie in an independent film that these are not like professionally trained actor kids, right? Because kids are
Sure.
a hard sell when it comes to acting.
Yeah.
And I want to say immediately that the his daughter who plays Belle is not only adorable but just like she's so believable
Yeah, she's
and
super believable.
super like charismatic
Very
and
lovable.
yes. And this is something we talk about on the channel a lot, and I can't talk about it enough. Acting natural
Yeah.
in front of a camera is really hard, and especially for children
Oh my gosh,
who really
yes.
want to go bonkers in front of the camera and be wild.
Yeah.
For them to, because in the movie, okay, so what the movie is about is that um, it's hard to say what the movie's about really because it's really just like we're following this family
Yeah.
and Belle has kind of like she wants to start like her own kind of YouTube channel, and so she's filming herself, and then um I don't know what else to say without I feel like anything else is spoilery.
She gets gifted a camera
Yeah.
and she starts filming everything because she wants to start a YouTube channel. That's the
Sure.
basics.
And she
And
catches
then
some
some other
things
stuff
on
happens.
camera that obviously are unsettling. But getting back to her and the son as well. So in the film, they're being like really uh, what's the word I'm thinking of? Really wild kids.
Mm,
Rambunctious is the word I was
mm.
looking for. They're being like they're rambunctious, really wild, goofy selves, right? But like when kids are trying to sell that, they're like, "Oh, you got to act like a kid who's just having fun and being ridiculous." The kids will overly do that in front of a
Yeah, a
camera,
lot of kids do
but what
that.
they're doing in this film feels like a natural way that kids act when they are just being themselves.
Yeah, it felt very, I think so. They both did a wonderful job. Obviously she's a little older than her brother,
Yeah.
so I thought, I mean, they're both adorable, but little boy I thought was so freaking cute.
She's partial to little boys.
And I know they're both wonderful, but I was also really impressed with him because he's even younger.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
he did such a great job.
Yeah.
Like there were no moments where I was like, oh, okay, like he's being crazy, like nothing. It was all very natural, very believable. When they're scared, when they're excited, when they're just supposed to be like normal, like chilling, like just hanging out.
Yeah.
All that felt totally realistic.
So, okay, to get to the point of it, so as far as the film goes, I do think that this is an impressive debut
Yeah.
for a very, very modest budget
Yeah.
of, I think Sean told me he spent like $100 on it or something like that, like something incredibly low. I obviously that doesn't include the cost of the camera and whatever. Like I
Sure.
don't know what
Yeah.
he's specifically cost like saying is the budget. Maybe the visual effects or whatever is what he's
Mm,
really counting as the budget. I'm sure he'll tell us in the comments. Um, but I think that the film is the most effective when it's focusing on the family dynamic, right? And the kids shine,
Yeah.
right? And that I think is its strongest element, which is funny because in most of these scenarios, when they do movies like this with kids, the kids are the weakest aspect, and you have to look past them.
Sure.
As to here, I would actually say the opposite is true, and the kids are the strongest element of this.
Yeah.
Right? And the mom is also tasked with another performance that's different, and because of what happens with her in the film, she's asked to do a decent amount as well in the acting department, and I think she does a pretty good job.
I do too.
This definitely plays out like a Paranormal Activity movie.
It does.
For sure.
In fact, there's like even the house there's like the loft area.
Yeah.
We were like that looks like Paranormal Activity 2
3
or 3.
Yeah.
And then the kitchen
looked like 2. Yeah.
So that was funny. We were getting a lot of like Paranormal Activity vibes, but I really liked the premise too. Like I thought that was really interesting. I think it's very ambitious, but I think that it sold really well in the end, and I think the ending is actually really creepy. I think you felt that way too. We were both genuinely, creeped out and unsettled by the like last, I don't know, 30 seconds of the film.
Yeah.
So I think it has a really solid ending, and yeah.
Yeah, and the film doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like an hour and 10 minutes. It says an hour and 12, but it has a little bit of credits and whatever. So, movies like an hour 10. You're in, you're out.
Yeah.
And I think that it's engaging enough. It's interesting enough. Enough's going on. Nothing's overtly repetitive. It's got good enough pacing to it. It's amateur and going back to the kids. Something I'd pointed out to Sean, and Sean was saying, like, he was laughing because he was like, yeah, you noticed that, this and that. Like, I tried to edit it out as best as I could. There are moments with the kids when they're not supposed to be, like, smiling or whatever. And I'm sure he probably, and maybe this was just their natural instinct, or maybe he directed them to do this, but there's moments when they're supposed to be upset, and they like go to smile and they like cover their smile, put their hands in. You're like, you're smiling. I see you, which is really adorable, and that kind of added to the charm because we know that this is just like a regular dude, like one of us, who just wanted to make a movie, and he got his family together, and he wrote out this little cool story, and he filmed it with his family, and it's like, what the fuck are we doing with our lives? What are we doing with our? I'm trying not to swear because I know the kids are going to watch this probably as well, so I'll try to keep the cuss words out, but. It's like that's so inspiring and so cool because super I think that's what's so cool about the found footage genre, especially like the super indie stuff, is like, this is just Joe Blow up the street who's like a really big fan of the genre, and he just is like, his dream is to make a movie, and now he has those tools to do it. And when someone can not only do it but do it well enough to pass as like a competent film that's entertaining, it's like, okay, not only does that show promise, but it also is inspiring to where you're like, okay, I feel like I could do this. Like, I feel like, and that's not a knock, like, this guy could do it, then anybody could do it.
No, it's not a knock. It's just inspiration.
Going, I'm talented too, and he's able to do it. And it's like, so we say this a lot when we do reviews these days with the found footage, but we're inspired, but then we never do anything. So we're like not that inspired.
We are inspired though. It is very encouraging, and it's really, especially with families. Like, we've watched a couple films over the years that were family projects, and it's so cool to see
the Addams Family.
Yeah, like movies. It's so cool to see families making stuff together, because it's like, even you have that memory now forever, like you have like, this is what we made together, like. Absolutely. And it's so, I just love the idea of like the kids getting older, and even if they're not into acting or film or whatever, but being like, hey, like, let's watch this, like, it's a home video.
And it's really cool to like show people later, like, hey, I made a movie when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
Right? And you show it to your friends, and they're like, "Oh my god, you were actually in like a legit."
And
movie.
even if they think it's bad, and it's like they're laughing at it, like, it could still be a fun memory to be like, "Look how ridiculous I acted when I was 10 or whatever." Like, it's still super cool.
I think they should be super proud of themselves,
yes,
and I don't think you should knock yourself at all in the future. But obviously, that's up to you.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't think that's the case with this. I'm not trying to say that they're going to laugh at it. I just mean in general, like, it's still a good memory even if you're like laughing at it later. But I don't think that's the case with this one. I also really liked I think that the camera usage in this, like there's a handheld camera and then there's also like security cam, which is again also very paranormal activity, but I liked that. I think it shakes things up a bit, so you get different angles and you get more stagnant shots, and I liked all of that.
Yeah, it gives you variety.
Yeah.
And that's definitely important because it can become stagnant when you're dealing with one camera, and to implement it in a way that feels organic, of course, is always going to be a plus.
Yeah.
Because these films are supposed to feel realistic. And I think the reason we're gushing about the family dynamic is because we are a family and we do have young kids like this. And it's like, it's very wholesome in that way.
Yeah.
Of like, even though this is a horror movie and there is some there's some gnarly
really
stuff at the very end where I was like, oh wow, they took it there. Okay, that's cool. And this is, as I said, this is $100 budget movie. Like, don't expect much in that regard, right? It's very quick stuff, and it's left mostly for the imagination, whatever. But it's
effective though.
It is effective.
It's really effective. Like, I know you were about to talk about something else, but I said like the last 30 seconds of the film were really scary, but really the last act, things get like amped up a lot, and for where things do go, like where it's taken, like it's pretty extreme. Like there's not even like now, like with bigger budget horror films, we'll watch things and like they don't take it far enough.
This has a very satisfying climax for the story that's set up.
Yeah.
And that is its strongest suit.
Yeah.
For sure, because that's any found footage or any movie's strongest element, right? Is when they can nail an ending that they're going for despite limitations.
Yeah.
Right? That is like, I wanted to go for this. And I feel it's effective enough. So I feel like we're singing its praises in one area specifically, but that's, as I was trying to allude to, like that's something that is just very near and dear to our life. So it's just something that we connect to. And I very much connected to this idea of like a dad and a wife and making this with his young kids.
Yeah.
And being successful at it. That's like super cool to me and very inspiring. And I'm like sitting going like, dude, why aren't we doing this? Right. So great. Yeah. Cool it's a very cool, ultra low budget. This is really only for found footage fanatics.
Yeah.
Right? Because, we say this at the end of any one of these. We're like, people who are into like, studio films and whatever will watch this and be like, this is just someone filming on handheld cameras. Like, that's found footage.
That's found footage.
So this feels authentic enough. Yes, the acting is amateurish, and there's some places where I'm like, okay, maybe that wasn't so great, but who cares?
It's cool.
That's the like charm of movies
charming.
like this.
And I think the story, like, it's cool. It's got a really cool story, and like we were saying, like the ending and the climax are satisfying for the story that's being told. So it's a recommendation for hardcore found footage fans and for people who want to support independent filmmakers and check it out, like, and see a family making something together. And just like, see how wholesome that is, even though those stories like scary and like not wholesome. Like,
and to add, this film does not have a release date currently. So unfortunately, as of this recording, you cannot watch it yet.
Not yet. But hopefully you will soon.
Sean was telling me soon-ish. I don't know what that's going to mean, but he's hoping to have it out soon.
Keep your
I will
eyes
definitely,
out for it.
when Sean does announce it, write me. I will make sure that I let you guys know on Instagram and all my socials, and Kayla will as well.
Yeah.
So we'll keep you up to date when this gets an actual firm release date.
Yeah.
But until now, have this to be something to look forward to for found footage fans. I have a feeling you only clicked on this because you're either a hardcore fan of this channel and you watch everything, or you're a hardcore fan of found footage, or both. Right. So one or the other, I think if you know you're the target audience for this anyways, and this is something to look forward to if you like stuff like the Blackwell Ghost,
Yeah.
or you know that like very
Bad Ben.
contained. It's Paranormal Activity, right? The
Yeah,
first one,
it
stuff like
definitely
that.
has those vibes.
I wouldn't put it on the level of Paranormal
No,
Activity, but
it's
it's
not
good.
there yet.
No,
but
but it's a
it's
really
a
good first
similar
effort.
feel for
Yeah.
sure. Like you'll see the similarities.
influences.
Yeah, the influences.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So that's that. Thank you
Great
so
job,
much,
everybody.
for sending this to us. I hope that we did your film justice on our review. As I've said many, many, many times, I would never give a review that I don't 100% stand behind.
Yeah, we're honest.
Good job.
Yes.
And thank you, Sean, for sending this. And good job to those kids and your wife.
Yes.
So good job, guys. You did awesome. Thank you. And
bye.